All right, so this is Sam Taggart here again. I'm here going over some really simple refactorings, and we're going to use the theatrical players kata for this. I'll put a link to where you can get that and clone that. I'm off the main branch. I just created a new branch for the video. So this particular kata, what we have is we have a company that puts on plays, and so they're generating an invoice, and this is the invoice system. We have this method or BI called statement that you input a name of a customer, some play IDs and audiences, so various performances that have went on, and there's a map that maps the play ID to a name and a type. And here we have a loop that loops through all the performances, and for each performance it looks up the play ID, and depending on the type it calculates a price. It also calculates some credits, and in addition to all of that, it's also formatting a string. So we've got the string that we're passing through in the shift register, and here we're putting the customer name at the top, and then we're putting some information for each performance. And then here at the end, we're adding some totals. Now in this particular loop, we've got several things going on. We're calculating credits, we're calculating price, and we're also formatting strings. And the change that they want to make is to be able to add different types of plays, and also maybe to change the format of the string. So this is outputting just as a straight string. Maybe for a particular report, they want to send it over the web, so they want to use JSON or XML or something. And so we've got two different vectors for change here. One is changing the type of play and the way they're calculated. The other one is changing the format of the report. And so the easy thing to do is to separate these things out. Now, in this particular case, we're going to do the simple version of the split loop. So there's a simple and a more complex, and this actually allows us to practice both of them. So the simple split loop, we have this volume credits that we're calculating, and if you pay attention to the volume credits, it depends on the audience, and it depends on the type of the play, but that's it. And it's getting passed around in the shift register, and we're adding it up. So we can pull that into its own separate loop. So what we're going to do is I'm going to highlight this and hold Control, and I'm going to drag and create another loop down here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to end up with two copies of the loop. And I'm going to just move this. My screen doesn't want to play along. So we end up with two copies of the loop. And then we're going to rewire all this stuff. Right, so here's this, wire per arrow wire. So we got that. Actually, we don't need the arrow wire, so we're going to start deleting the stuff that we don't need in this bottom loop. So this bottom loop is just going to calculate the volume credits. Wow, I hate these high def screens where you got lots of pixels and it's a pain in the butt. So we're going to delete that. We're not going to do anything with the strings, so we can get rid of all of that. And actually, before I did all this, I should have ran the test and showed you that they passed, but I forgot to just show you that they passed, but they do pass. And let's get this from here. And we can get rid of this because we're not using that. We're not using that. We don't need a conditional terminal. And we can shrink that. So that's this loop, and we can clean this loop up a little bit. If I just highlight that loop and hit Control U, block diagram cleanup, that does an okay job. It's not perfect, but and we can do this, and we can move this down here. And then we can delete all the stuff dealing with this up here. So delete, delete. Clean up wires. And now we should be good. So if we run the test now, and if I remember correctly, this one uses kata to run the tests. Yeah, it does. So we'll do Control Space, Control U, and run the kata test. And we get everything's fine. It passes. If you're curious about the test itself is an approval test. That's kind of beyond the scope of this, but basically you feed in some information, we generate a statement, and this just remembers the statement from the previous time. It stores it in a text file. So the next time you run the code, as long as the output of the text doesn't change, everything's good. So here's what a statement looks like. And that is the simple version of the split loop kata. So again, we saw a loop that was doing multiple things. We wanted to separate some of those things out. So we saw part of the loop that, or one of the things that we were doing was pretty independent. And so we just copied the loop and then deleted everything we didn't need in both loops. So in the bottom loop, we deleted everything that didn't have to do with calculating volume credits. In the top, we deleted the stuff that did do with calculating the volume credits, and we ran our tests, and they all passed. So that's a simple and easy way to split a loop.